say 1,000 times your life, time heals all wounds. Sounds like pretty good advice, right? Well, wrong, according to our next guest, communication expert Stephen Gaffney. He's here today to bust a few popular communication myths like this one. So time heals all wounds. Our mothers, our fathers have probably said this when we've had our first breakup, right? But no. And why do you say no?
Well, here's my evidence. If that was really true, people would not be blaming their parents for how they are today. Because that's been years. At what point do we give that up?
Are you saying we're wounded by our parents?
Well, what I'm saying is we have to recognize that maybe time doesn't heal all wounds. It's
right.
Other things. The other thing we have to consider is, have you ever had somebody say to you or bring up something from that happened a long time ago and you don't even remember, but they're still upset? Or sometimes somebody will say, look, I've let it go. I've let it go. And then you say,
they
okay,
haven't.
Right, they haven't.
Sure haven't.
And they bring up something and they might even say, I remember what you were wearing. And you're like, I don't even have a clue of what you're talking about.
I don't even have that outfit anymore. What are you talking about? So, so what are you saying? At the same time, it may not heal all wounds, so what? You need to find another way to work it out? Because
absolutely. Okay. Don't let people off the hook. If they say, oh, I'm going to let it go,
right,
be suspicious and look for clues. The reality is that when somebody's upset about something and they store it in the back of their mind, they continue to look for evidence that supports that. And so they actually will build a case. But the reason why people think time heals all wounds is because when you're away from a situation, you obviously feel less emotional about a situation. But then, when it reoccurs, you're like right back where it started from. So the reality is you need to seize the moment. So if you're sensing a problem with somebody and you're thinking, I don't think they've let it go, address it. Bring it up. Absolutely.
Okay, makes sense. Number two, don't rock the boat.
Yep. If you don't rock the boat's going to sink. Here's the reality.
Okay.
Because conflict is good, not resolving conflict is bad. So often people say, I don't want to rock the boat. I don't want to bring this up. But the problem is if they don't bring it up, that issue is never going to get resolved. So consider in relationships at home. If you've got a problem in your relationship and you just say, well, I don't want to rock the boat.
Yeah.
You know, we've had a good couple of weeks. But the problem is
ignoring it's not going to help.
Exactly. It actually builds, and that goes back to the other point, is that time actually makes problems worse.
Okay, number three. I see how you're going here. It all goes together. Number three, be diplomatic.
Yeah. Have you ever had somebody be so diplomatic with you, you miss the point? For example, they might say, you know, you look great in that dress. And what they're really saying is, you don't look good in this situation. Or, you do, but I'm just saying. Oh, yeah.
Not a dress, so I'm not taking any offense. But I want to talk to you more about this one because it's interesting. Do you think people are just giving compliments that mean nothing just to give a compliment to maybe diffuse a situation or just have something to say?
I've been in 20 years in the trenches with employees, and the problem is that people actually think they're being clear and they're not being clear. Okay. An example would be, you may want to go talk to that other person. Now, in the back of my mind, I know the two of you are having problems, and this other person has just shared how upset they are, but they said, don't tell this other person. So I might go to you and say, listen, you may want to go talk to that other person. So you're thinking, well, I may, but I got a lot of other things, so I don't do it.
Right.
And then later on, it comes up, and I'll say, what? I tried to tell you, but the reality is we're not clear. We have to recognize the person who defines clarity is the receiver, not the sender.
Someone's not always going to take the hint or the clue.
Yeah, often people say, oh, I was perfectly clear. I said this 5 times, or I said it in a certain way. No, the person who defines clarity is the receiver, not the sender. Gotcha.
Okay, number 4, moving right along on this list, you have something called the sandwich method. What the heck is this?
Well, it was taught for years, and it's ridiculous. When somebody wants to, you need to say something. So you sandwich in between 2 compliments. It might go like this. Look, I really appreciate how hard you're working. And I just want to talk to you about this report, and this needs to be improved. But thank you for working with me. I mean, this doesn't work. In fact,
have you ever
had
like
somebody...
the backwards compliment where you kind of get slapped at the same time, but you don't realize what just happened? Yeah.
And it's been taught for years. For example, have you ever had somebody compliment you, and you're actually afraid? For example, let's say your boss calls you in and says, look, I want to talk to you about how great you're doing on the show. And you're like, okay, what's next?
What's he really
the reality
like? Yeah.
is, and there's probably nothing that major, but the point is that we need to get to the point and not sandwich it.
Speaking of getting to the point, we've got to get to your 5th point because we're out of time. Say that one real quick.
And that is about communication. That communication will resolve issues. More communication will resolve issues. Here's my evidence to dispute that. We live in a world in which there's more communication, more access to information than ever before in the history of time. And yet we seemingly have more problems, not less problems. We have more misunderstandings and more conflict conflicts than ever before.
Because we're not communicating. Steve Gaffney, thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate it. We'll be right back after this break.